Greetings, chess fans, everybody out there. In this series of videos, we are going to be looking at the candidates match. It took place in Bled, Yugoslavia, I believe, 1965. This match was between Bent Larsen, the Great Dane, and Mikhail Tal, right, or the magician from Riga, as he was known. This is game one, and Bent Larsen has the white pieces, Tal the black pieces. Previously, Tal had defeated Lejos Portish um, in somewhat lopsided match, although the score didn't indicate the struggle in the match. But Tal was definitely at his fiercest. A lot of wins coming by just sacrificial blowouts. Um, Tal, as we know, is a very dynamic player, but Bent Larsen had an interesting style too, in that he's also very dynamic, but like in a different way. Larsen reminds me of like that bend but don't break player. Sometimes ending up in a lot of strange positions where you feel he should be losing or close to losing, but then he wins. Somewhat like Lasker. If you look at a lot of Emmanuel Lasker games. One thing I want to point out also is in 1965, this was the first year of the candidates matches leading up to the World Championship. Before that, you had tournaments such as like Zurich 1953, where the potential World Championship contenders played in these long round robin tournaments. Okay, so Zurich 1953, 1959 was another such tournament. I believe 1962. Um, you know, so you have all these players like grouped together playing in this type of um, tournament where all the players played each other, and then whoever had the highest score at the end became the challenger to the world champion. So 1965 was the first time where there was like this match format where you would play, uh, three opponents, and then you had the right to face the world champion. So that seems like pretty grueling. For instance, Fischer played Larsen, Petrosian, then played Spassky. I mean, I mean, you really had to earn it to become, world champion in those days. So let's start game one. Candidates 1965. Larsen with the white pieces versus Tal with the black pieces. So d4, knight f6, g6, and knight c3, bishop g7, e4. So we see in this match, Tal adopting his King's Indian, whereas against Portish he had played, his Nimzo Indian setups. So knight f3, d6, bishop e2, e5, castle, knight c6, d5, and this is all standard stuff. Knight e7, knight e1. The idea anticipating black's plan of f5 and making sure he can meet f5 at some point with f3, and then repositioning the knight on e1 to d3 in order to prepare for the breaks on the queen side with b5, c5, etc. So knight d7, f3, f5, g4. Again, these are older ideas. For instance, white would love for black just to fix the structure by playing a move like f4, or even take at this point, like f takes g4. This would all kind of help white with the idea of just fixing black's structure and eliminating the attack on the king side, so that he could just follow his policy of just breaking through on the queen side. Of course, Tal keeps the tension. He plays h5. And now Larsen plays g5 again, just trying to keep things closed, make it very difficult. He's trying to just basically end Tal's attacking chances on the king side. So h4, knight d3, and of course h4 prevents Larsen from playing h4 himself. h4, Knight d3, and now f4. And of course, Tal would love to win that pawn on g5. So king h1, king f7. There it is, c5. So now white goes on with his plan of cracking open the queen side. Rook h8. And it's up to black to, show and prove that he has chances on the king side now. Queen b3, b6. And of course, white is in the same boat. White should not do a move like c6, closing up the position and cutting off his chances of attack on the queen side. So he plays c takes, queen a3, attacking the pawn on d6. It's classical play here. Knight c6, that's not a big deal because as long as white has the opportunity to play a move like b4 and kick the knight out, it's not a big deal. Instead, he plays knight takes c5 here. But check it out. So after knight takes c5, b takes c5, b4. So it's the same thing. Eliminates one of the minor pieces. C takes, queen takes, and then there's all type of pressure on the queen side. Notice how white's game is free on the queen side. Targets from the attack, a7 pawn, d6 pawn. Whereas black still hasn't gotten his attack underway properly. Bishop h3. One move threat, easy for Larsen to deal with. Rook g1, rook b8, and now knight b5 with the threat of taking on d6 with check. So knight c8, bishop a3, again more pressure on d6. Bishop f8, and now finally queen c4 as there's a threat of a6. Bishop e7, again great positional play by Larsen. He could have played easily rook ac1, putting more pressure on the position, but he decides to just go into this ending. Queen takes, knight takes, and rook h5. And look how long it's taken for Tal to, basically get up on this pawn on g5. Bishop f1 takes, rook takes g5, so he wins the pawn, but the bishop, the light square bishop, is very important. And look at this knight is now sitting very pretty. H5, rook ac1, king f6, rook c7. Another thing too is, yes, Larsen has given up pawn there on g5, but black's position is somewhat awkward as a result of capturing that pawn, playing the move rook h5 and then rook takes g5, and doing, making those maneuvers allow white to set up this ideal position. So although black is actually a pawn up, his position is very uncoordinated. His pieces look terrible. Rook h8, rook fc1, g5, h3. Again, that extra pawn really doesn't mean anything. Rook g8, rook 7, c6, king f7, king g2, king f6, king f1, rook h8, king e2, rook g8, and Larsen just moved the king to the center. King d3, rook c7, knight b6. Here comes the other rook. And then rook hg8, and Tal resigned here. There is no remedy for bishop. Bishop takes d6. Just real simple moves here. There's no no remedy for that. Simply bishop takes f6. Excuse me, not bishop takes x, but bishop takes d6. Rook takes e7 can also be played here. For example, rook takes. Okay, bishop takes d6. That all of that is winning. It's another funny looking move here, right? Knight f8 also winning. Idea being, if bishop takes, then bishop takes. Then you got like this discovery going on. Mate. So absolutely brilliant game by Ben Larsen. What did Larsen do in a nutshell is he eliminated all of Tal's typical attacking chances that could come in the King's Indian by playing this line with G4, and they bogged blacks attacking chance down on the King's side, and then uh went ballistic on the Queen's side. And that's basically one of the oldest strategies that still is used today. No matter what variation of the King's Indian you use, you still see that kind of strategy. Whether you play like an Averbach variation with Bishop E2 and Bishop G5, it's still a type of same scenario where some lines in the same-ish where you kind of provoke Black's advance, and then you make it to where he can't really break through. And then while he's trying to break through, your attack just comes fast on the other side of the board, and this is exactly what happens. Larsen was able to even part with the pawn here, and you see while black is recovering this pawn, this gives white all types of time to just coordinate the forces of his pieces, whereby black never got coordinated, and Larsen just put the pressure game on him. And just absolutely fantastic game from Larsen in game one. Okay,